Hello everyone, welcome to the ASL Season 16 Ro.24 Group F match, proudly brought to you by Hot 6 and a Drink. The competition in the Ro.24 has been so fierce so far, and now we only have the Group F match remaining in the Ro.24. But the upsets continue to happen. In yesterday's match, it was Sharp and Ample coming out on top to make it to the round of 16. And now, there are only 2 spots in the round of 16. Who will be the last 2 players to grab the tickets to the round of 16? We'll find out today. But before we do so, we're gonna have an interview with the 4 players. Hello. Alright, let's talk with Rush first. Hello, Rush. Since Season 10, heading to round 24 has been quite a breeze for you, and making it to round 16 was not a difficult task for you as well. And since you're such a strong player, I think the fans and I think that you're gonna have a pretty comfortable mindset heading into round 24. What do you think? But the round of 24 is carried out in the best of 1 format, and the group is very hard. So I try my best today. I'm gonna try my best today, and I practice thoroughly. Yeah, that's right. The Group F players seem very strong, and so far the round of 24 has been extremely difficult for the top tier players. So you've probably watched the round of 24. What's your impression like? Well, I noticed that the tier 1 players got eliminated, a lot of them. But for me, it doesn't really matter because I don't really care about the tiers, whether it be tier 1, tier 2, it doesn't really matter to me. And for me, honestly, I think Bisu is the top tier player in this group. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I see, so it feels like you have no pressure heading to today's match. Yes, I don't really care about the tiers. Alright, let's have an interview with ivOry this time. And Stork is telling him where the mic is. How nice of him. Hello, ivOry. Hello. So, ivOry, you're introducing yourself for the first time in front of the huge audience. Hello, I'm ivOry, an amateur StarCraft player. So you must be really nervous right now, sitting among these huge, successful players. So how are you feeling today ahead of today's match? Well, I feel really good, but the players are all so strong in my group, so I came here with a clear head. Not too ambitious ahead of today's match. Your first opponent is Rush, a very strong Terran player, and then you're gonna have to win in that match to move to make it to the winners match. So what are your thoughts on that? Well, I analyzed Rush's playstyle a lot. And what was your analysis, ivOry? Well, I think he plays too standard, a bit too predictable, I'd say. Rush seems a little shaken, he seems a little perplexed by ivOry's answer. Could you grab the mic? I mean, he's not wrong, he's kind of right, but I'm also good at stomping my opponents. And you definitely have the skills to make that happen, Rush. Some fierce mind games going on between the 2 players. And let's have a look at the opponents ivOry has beaten on his way here. It was Sack, Organ, Soma, and with this momentum, I believe you could actually make an upset happen in the round 24. Can we look forward to it today, ivOry? I think by the end of today, Rush will be added to the list of the Terran players I've eliminated on my way here. Well, strong confidence coming from ivOry today. Alright, let's have an interview with Bisu this time. Hello, Bisu. Hello. And so many fans are looking forward to today's match between you and Stork, a Bisu vs Stork match in a long time. And the last time you guys faced against each other in an official match was back in 2011, December 18th. And this is the first match in 4,267 days. So how are you feeling today? Well, everyone tells me that I last played against him in 2011. Honestly, I can't remember how the match went. But every time I play against Stork, it's always fun, it's always exciting. So this is a match in a long time, so I find this kind of amazing, but I'm gonna have to win today. I guess it all comes down to how you're feeling today, your condition. And you've been very busy these days, so how are you feeling today? Well, when I'm prepared for the round of 24, it's always done lightly. I just do a little bit of mind control or just practice for a day or so. But this time I practiced for 2 or 3 days. I practiced quite thoroughly compared to my past seasons. So I'm not sure whether I can make it to the next round, but I'm still gonna give it my all. Wow, a very contradicting answer coming from Bisu compared to an amateur player, ivOry. Alright, the last player we're gonna talk to with is Stork. Hello, Stork. So since season 2, it seemed like you were very thirsty for the round 16 spot. And like everyone has mentioned so far, the Group F match seems very difficult for everyone. So what is your impression of this group? Well, not only this group, but all the other groups seem equally hard. But one thing I find fortunate is that my first match is a PvP match, which I'm confident with. I think I have the biggest, highest win rate with this matchup. But, you know, Bisu being my opponent is one variable that I have to take account for, but I still get practice really hard. That's right, Stork, you've been showing really impressive performance in PvP match in online matches. But the reason why I have a high win rate in PvP is because I play against YSC and all the other low tier players, not Bisu. That's why I have a high win rate. But I'm still gonna have to see how the matchup falls between me and Bisu. Yes, today's match will tell who is the better Protoss player between Bisu and Stork. And now we have the fans' questions ready, and the fans are curious about what the Group F players think. And like everyone has said before, this is the first time a Bisu versus Stork match is being taken place in ASL. So we've already asked how Bisu feels about this match. Let's ask Stork about it. So after the groups were confirmed and after I realized that I'm playing against Bisu after such a long time, but you know, in the meantime we play against each other in the ASTL or like sponsored matches on AfreecaTV platform. So there's not a big deal, not a bit of pressure. But I do think that the first match in round 24 is extremely crucial to your success in ASL. So rather than thinking about this as a match in a long time, I just want to consider it as an important match that I have to win no matter what. Alright, the next match is for Rush. So this season we have a lot of Zerg players in round 16. So do you think the Terran players will have a lot of success like the previous season? In the round 16? Yes. Well, we see a lot of Zerg players in the round of 8 and the round of 16, but in the end it is all Terran players moving on to the higher rounds like the round of 4. So I think when it goes to a best of series, the Terran players are gonna have a great showing. So Rush, for you, if you just overcome the round of 24, you should be able to have a good momentum moving forward, right? Yes, I think I should be able to have a good momentum from the round 16. Alright, this is a question for ivOry. So ivOry, this is your first time making it to the main stage of ASL. So could you tell us the feeling of euphoria you had when you made it to round of 24, and what do you think about this group? Well, when I got out of the qualifiers, I felt really happy. The feeling of euphoria came to me. But when I checked out my round of 24 match, it was a true disaster. It was disastrous. I mean, like, I can't even like call this a difficult group. It's like far beyond that. And there are so many players who are good at playing against Zergs. So I think I'm gonna have a really hard time today. But ivOry, you've been showing a lot of confidence, so I think we can look forward to some of your plays today. Alright, here comes the last question. And so far in the round 16, we only have 2 Protoss players, one being a seeded player, Best, and the other being Meanie. So I wonder if the Protoss players have a lot of pressure in this regard. So Bisu, what do you think? Well, I saw Shuttle and Snow getting eliminated, and I had a feeling that I might be having the same fate as those two. And in my opinion, I don't think there are many players who play Protoss. So I hope a lot of people start playing Protoss. And hopefully either Stork and I make it to round of 16 today, or both of us, and then we can make a 3 Protoss or 4 Protoss in the round of 16. I guess a lot of Protoss people will be happy with that answer. Then I want to ask the same question to Stork. Yeah, I hope one of the Protoss who makes it to the round of 16 today is me. And every time I see a Protoss player in tournaments, I learn a lot from them. So hopefully Bisu and I can move to the round 16 hand in hand, and hopefully we can show our performance back in prime. There's a sense of camaraderie between the two Protoss players. And before the players head off to their match, any resolutions? Well, this is not an easy group, for sure. And there are not many Protoss players in the round 16, only 2 so far. So as a viewer, as an ASL fan myself, I kind of don't want to watch ASL games if I don't see Protoss players. So I'm going to try to make it to the next round to be one of the Protoss players in the round 16. And Rush? Well, I prepare thoroughly, so I'm going to try to make it to round 16. And ivOry? Well, I practiced hard. I'll try to show good performance today. We look forward to it. And last of all, Stork? Well, I practiced really hard as well, so I'm going to try to make great results today. Well, we look forward to your performance today. Thank you guys for the interview. ASL Season 16 Round of 24 Group F match. Only one match remains in the Round of 24. Who will be the last 2 players to fill in the Round of 24 slot? We will find out now.
What is up, everybody? We're here for the final day of the round of 24 here in the ASL. It's been a crazy tournament so far. Zergs have been destroying. We did have some Terrans recover just the other day, and I guess for myself personally, I'm hoping to see a few more Protoss players squeeze through.
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance we'll get at least one through there. Kind of a longer shot, I think, for Stork to make through, but Bisu's in very good shape. So, God, I really hope so as well, honestly. I hate it when we have, like, one race really underrepresented, and it feels like that's probably going to be Protoss this time unless they make a few upsets.
I mean, look, here's the thing. It's possible Stork and Bisu don't advance. I think Bisu's probably a much safer bet than Stork overall, but at the same time, look, with the Protoss players we have left, it's totally realistic that many of them or all of them get knocked out in the round of 16. Maybe a couple survive, but it looks like it's turning out to be a pretty brutal season so far.
Yeah, a tough season for Protoss, no doubt. An amazing season for Zerg, at least so far. We'll see as we move forward how that's going to hold up. But as you can see, yesterday we had both Zergs eliminated, and every single other Zerg has qualified so far through the tournament. So that was kind of a surprise, especially considering it was Queen and Jaedong. You know, those are some strong Zergs, especially Queen. Queen's in great shape, so that was kind of sad to see him go out when every other Zerg was making it through.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, if you were to say to somebody, like, if they haven't seen the round of 24, and if you said a lot of Zergs are getting through, that's an interesting twist, but you would never expect that, like, Queen and Jaedong were 2 of the Zergs that didn't make it through. That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Now, for well, as you can see here, this is kind of what we were talking about. And only yesterday we got 2 more Terrans in there. For a while, it was almost entirely Zerg, and then, 3 Terrans and 2 Protosses. So, luckily, the Terrans pushed through and managed to succeed. We might get another Terran here with Rush playing today. And then, the final player that we've got in this group is ivOry, who we just don't really have anything to say about the guy. He's brand spanking new. Don't say that there are new up-and-coming players in StarCraft, because we got one here today.
Oh, no, we certainly have. We have a ton of players that are, like, can absolutely take games all the time off these pros, but haven't been able to qualify. It's hard to get through those tournaments. And to have ivOry get through, he's actually not even considered a top-tier amateur player, right? There are certainly a lot of players that haven't been in ASL or only have been in ASL a couple times that are considered stronger than ivOry, but he's the one that made it through the bracket and got himself an ASL berth. So a huge moment for him. He beat a lot of good players on the way. I believe he defeated during that qualifier Piano Soma and Calm, if I'm recalling correctly. So he, obviously very good ZVZ, and even taking down Piano, who's still in good shape and hits ASL occasionally.
Yeah.
Like, that's a strong run from this guy who apparently is only 2,500 MMR. I believe he is the lowest ranked player as far as the ladder goes to ever make it into ASL. As before this, I believe it was 2,700. It was about the bottom of players who ever qualify.
And, you know, I'm glad that you pointed that out. A tournament is a very different beast from a ladder, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of gauge your overall ability and whatever builds you're running with that kind of play, but to prep for a group stage like this is a lot tougher. But it's cool to see ivOry make it this far. You were talking about Piano. He's one of those guys that occasionally qualifies for ASL. Kala's another one we've seen from time to time. There are a couple guys like this. But I'm always happy to see a new face.
Yeah, it's really pleasant, actually. I want to see still turnover, and we are still seeing turnover. This is actually, it's a pretty damn healthy scene. There are a lot of really strong players trying to get into ASL all the time, and it's cool to have ivOry here. So this is the first time we're really going to see him end up winning. Troy's son, isn't that Sock? Did he beat Sock 2-1?
Oh, is that right?
I think that's Sock's name, but
you're
I
better
might
at
be
remembering
off on
everybody's civilian name. I am really bad with people's names in general. Well, not just pro gamers, but just everybody. Maybe. I mean, if he beats Sock, that's huge.
That would be huge, because he's actually the big upset that didn't make it in this season. But anyways, you know, he definitely beat some very strong players on his way here, and I'm excited to see what he's going to bring out against Rush. I think there's a huge range of what we might see from him. It's like you could take the risk in like 4-pool and hope he's walling in and you can get the win, or, you know, do you worry about 8-Barex? Do you worry about, you know, do you just try to play a macro game? Do you have an all-in set? It's hard to say, because Rush is, like, this is a guy who could win, right? He's been in the finals multiple times. Rush is an amazing player.
Yeah, I mean, Rush is, he's a superstar, man. He's one of these modern Terrans that you got to look up to, you got to respect. So this is a little bit of a mismatch. I'm not going to lie. I feel like ivOry looks a little bit unnatural in the seat, you know. This is a big deal for him. I mean, people like ivOry have been watching StarCraft Pros since the very beginning, but here he is now amongst them. I wonder if imposter syndrome might be hitting him a little bit. But what's most important, of course, is can he focus in and bring the best game of his life, because he's going up against a legend here in the likes of Rush as we get into Game 1 here in the final group of the round of 24, Group F. Okay, so we've got Rush here in the bottom right, and that's going to be ivOry up at the top center here in the blue. We're going to be on the map Apocalypse, and I'm just, you know, really interested in seeing how ivOry is going to play. Sometimes you get players that, even if they've never been on a stage, they're able to zero in and channel their energy correctly and play very well, and kind of harness that. You know, the adrenaline doesn't become anxiety; it becomes something that can aid you. On the other hand, and this is the more common situation, is people panic under this kind of pressure. It's another skill set to be comfortable playing and performing in front of people, and that's something. I mean, I'm sure that. I mean, many of the people listening to this, I know you and I have had our own experiences in tournaments. Like, how do you kind of focus in and play your very best? It's not easy.
Yeah. You know, that was one of the main things that I personally was working on leading up to that LAN in New York City, was like keeping my cool and, you know, trying to not panic about something, because it's like, you know, when you play StarCraft all the time and you're trying to be good, you know, you finally get this opportunity, right? ivOry, like, he probably didn't expect to qualify, but here he is. He made it through. Can he just kind of remain calm and play his game? Like, if he can play at his peak skill, he has a chance to get through the group. But we don't know if he's going to be able to do that on his very first time in a packed audience like this. It's packed in there today.
Yeah, a couple of things that you could experience when you're playing under pressure. One is, I mean, obviously the lights That can be a bit off-putting. I mean, the place is studio lit, so that your face shows up on camera, but that's quite different than if you're just kind of playing in the dark in your house or in a PC cafe, which is where most people are practicing. Another one is that they have soundproof, I guess you call it white noise or pink noise, I think they use, that is pumped into the headsets, and that's that you can't hear anything. Even the game sound's hard to hear, but it's. I actually got to experience that when we did Tastosis LAN Party, where I played against Scarlet in a match, and so I got to experience that, and it's like, whoa! It feels like it's like you're in an international flight with that kind of that kind of white noise that's going on. Only you're trying to play the best StarCraft game of your entire life with the sounds blasting. Yeah, it's a very
having experience in that is important, and he's the only one here that doesn't have a ton of experience in that, right?
and then now that I'm saying that, I'm thinking of the time that you and I went to China to play StarCraft 2 and represent the U.S. This was like 14 years ago, and when I played in that environment, all I heard was the game sounds in the Chinese language they were taking. I'm like, well, my opponent knows exactly what I'm doing. I can't believe this. Remember that?
Yeah, that was super funny. So, guys, if you don't know the story, during the beta, there was a championship over in China, and the American team was me, Tastosis, and Hydra all flying over from Korea.
Yeah,
and we beat Team Korea. We eliminated them. Yeah. And the finals was against Team China with no soundproofing and the commentators saying what was going on the whole time. And believe it or not, we lost that match.
Yeah.
Holy
believe it or not,
that
man.
Was so funny.
They were not surprised by anything. That was the tournament was called the Stars.
Team too.
The Stars War Tournament was what it was called. Not Star Wars.
That's right.
Stars War. Anyways, just I don't know, that bringing up the white noise certainly made me think about that. Yeah. In this game that we've got here, Rush went for a quick expand. He did the triangle wall in here with the double depot and the barracks. He's getting that academy. He already has the eBay, upgrading weapons attack. And over here for ivOry, he hasn't done anything cheesy at all. He's going to go straight up into 2-hatch Muta, so super fast Mutalisks. I guess some people might say this is a little bit cheesy. It's very aggro. But yeah, I mean, ivOry not trying to do any kind of sneaky lurker stuff. Didn't go for any kind of weird Ling cheese. He's playing out a pretty standard game.
A couple things to mention here. He is going over, and Rush is going to be able to scout this drone, so that's a wonderful scout for him. He's going to see that this is going to be the third hatchery. Is going to be on location of a third base. So, that is something that you can do, and he didn't go Academy Rush, so he cannot punish this right now. But Rush went for a very fast engineering bay, a very fast +1 attack for Marines, which means he's going to go up to 4 or 5 barracks and apply intense pressure on ivOry. And I'm not surprised to see this, right? He's going to just make a lot of Marines and medics, and it's up to ivOry to have amazing control with his Mutalisks. Like we saw Queen die to this same build, right? And Queen has played in this situation a ton of times. So a good choice from Rush, I think.
Yeah. Rush has gotten his second medic out here. 3 more barracks are going to come down to total it out to 4. Is Rush going to go up to 5 barracks, Tastosis? Is there any way to tell?
You can't tell, but it probably will be 4. He just scanned right there, and he might just time this out based on how long he has until he can build missile turrets as well. The thing is, if you go 5, it's like it's hard to keep that going, and it's very hard to add a factory because you have like no minerals the entire time. So I think he'll just sit on 4. That's going to give him like a reasonable factory timing in there as well.
Well, you can see where the Overlord is placed. You can pretty much follow exactly what's happening. The barracks is going to be lifted up, and that'll be sent back so that it's just easier to kind of produce back at home. But ivOry, we're going to see his first couple of engagements. A lot of times you want to see how the micro goes and do they misclick or mess anything up, because new players, that's where they're going to have their moment where we'll see if they fall apart at all.
Yeah, he's already taken some pretty severe damage on one of the Mutalisks. He's only killed about 3 Marines so far. He's trying to whittle things down. He's got a little group of Lings there too, and I'm kind of like taking a look at the minimap as well, watching him rally things out and everything. Rush does hit a bit of a supply block. Okay, he comes out of that, so that wasn't so bad. But let's see. Like this is really the moment where you're going to prove how comfortable you are here with these Mutas.
Yeah, this is the moment, right? The third base, its gas is finished. So ivOry's going to start having 3 gases come in pretty fast. He got armor, by the way, not attack on the Marines.
What?
Why did he do that?
That's crazy.
I almost
can't
didn't
even
notice.
believe that. That's a really good thing that you showed. Okay, so, I mean, I thought about this some, but it doesn't actually make that much sense. Obviously, it does make them more tanky. It's going to make them a bit harder to kill, and it's going to neglect or brush off a lot of the glaive damage, right? So it's not that armor upgrades are bad, but Marines have a really great range, so normally you do go for attack. Now, ivOry diving in here on top of the Marines, and you can see, obviously, the Marines are a little bit more sturdy than normal. But honestly, so far, ivOry's doing a good job.
Are we entering the era of armor upgrades, Tastosis? Like, you know, we saw Protosses in the last 2 years just start to get armor over, like, +2 attack a lot of times, and even +3 armor over +2 attack. But this is really interesting to see Rush go for this. And by the way, I don't even know if ivOry knows that there's an armor upgrade instead of an attack upgrade, because you're not checking for that ever.
Yeah, this is... I've actually never seen this. You know, and I watch every single Terran game, so it's kind of wild. He does have his own +1 attack, which will negate a little portion of that armor, but that doesn't apply to glaives. Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, Zergs have known for years and years and years and years and years that against Mutalisks you do want carapace upgrades, right? That's what you get in ZVZ most of the time. And obviously Protoss does that nowadays to save their High Templars. Is Terran next? I honestly don't know.
I don't even... This is so funny because this shows how new this is. I literally don't know any of the math on like how much longer it takes to kill a Marine or anything in TVZ with an armor upgrade versus an attack upgrade. I guess, you know, the reason why attack is such an obvious pick is that stim is so good, right? So like every shot would do more damage. So it's kind of self-evident. But I would love. I almost feel like we need to find someone to talk to Rush to just explain this, because this is really, you know, something different. Maybe they'll ask in the interview or something, but yeah, like let's say that he advances, you know.
Trust me, I'm going to look into that later today, and we'll we'll talk about it later in the tournament. But yeah, that's an exciting thing if that is something that Rush thinks might actually be better. But so far, it doesn't seem to be better. Like, he's not dealing with this particularly well. ivOry's doing a great job. You know, he's on those 3 gases. He's continuing to whittle down the Marines and medics. He's actually taken a 4th base during this. It doesn't have drones yet, but he does have a 4th base. So, like, these are big things for ivOry. But we have 2 Valkyries on the way. And when those 2 Valkyries are out, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, well, that's the big question, right? I mean, the Valkyries, we did see some pretty unfortunate Valkyrie micro before. But yeah, I mean, if these Valkyries especially can be controlled well, it's going to be very, very difficult for ivOry to deal with. But I got to say, so far, ivOry's had pretty much better engages than Rush has. Now, the Valkyrie here, this also allows, you know, the Marines with more armor, they give more sustain and cover for the Valkyrie, funnily enough.
Yeah, that might be part of it. Like, if you're planning on going Valkyrie, maybe the +1 makes sense, because the Valkyries are going to be what ends up killing the Mutalisks.
Right.
But that goes against kind of what the 4X is. The 4X is about putting pressure on your opponent anyways, so I don't know. Maybe there is something there, but now he has 2 Valkyries. One of them ivOry almost got, but didn't quite get. So there's a lot of damage output now, and I'm getting very worried for our Zerg player.
We had another bungled move there with the Valkyrie. And it's now down to 1 again. There will be more Valkyries merging with this, but again, you know, the longer you keep those alive, the more of those little missiles they fire are going to be connecting to the Mutas. The Mutas are very low on HP, by the way, so it's like, it's kind of crazy. By the way, it looks like Rush is going to get here right before the Lurkers finish, at least the one up here at the top.
Yeah, and also there was like 3 Hydras that he picked off, which wanted to be Lurkers, and it seems like his timing is just a little bit too strong here. He's killing off everything, and that's very likely to be game. Yeah, GG is called there, and ivOry does lose that game. It didn't feel like he was playing like too poorly. I guess the real story there is +1 armor going to be the new thing against Zerg?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could kind of hold your ground a little bit longer with the armor. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're not even going to be able to unpack this before the break. There's so much to think about with that, but that is really interesting. And we don't even know if ivOry saw the armor upgrade. I think he's more regretting the fact that his Lurkers were, you know, about 15 seconds too late. Rush trying to hold back a smile here. Some reptilian tongue movement there.
He definitely did smash there. You know, it didn't really look like he was in trouble. Like, the Muto harassment was doing pretty well for a while, but he got into his Valkyries very, very nicely and just marches right on to that winner's match.
Well, guys, Rush unsurprisingly does win that. ivOry can hold water. Let's just say that. Looks like we're going to see a quick replay of this. So, I mean, it's a funny thing because there's actually almost nothing to highlight here. You know what I mean? Like, the push got there before the lurkers finished. Up until that moment, ivOry was basically playing the perfect game, but I guess you need to get the lurker upgrade done. The hiders have to be out just a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
He even sniped one of the Valkyries. I think, had there been 2 lurkers at the natural, this game would have been going on. I think ivOry still had a real shot. Small error, maybe the least climactic win we've seen. Kind of one where, like, Rush's build order was just 100% and ivOry's was at, like, 95,
Yeah, something like that. It's too bad. If you do get some lurkers out in time, you'll be all right. One thing to mention is, Rush did have 1-1 when he hit the attack as well, which makes me think that might have something to do with him wanting to get the quick armor upgrade as well. So, nicely played there by Rush, and I mean that's a tough loss. It's a tough build to play against with that type of Muto style, anyways. So. Yeah, ivOry, we're gonna see at least one more game of him tonight, and I hope he can do better. But at the same time, I really want the Protoss players to advance, balance out the tournament.
Guys, short break coming up next to PvP. That's a rare thing in this season. Bisu versus Stork. We will be right back.
우주급 텐션, 최고의 토킹, 핫식스 토킹.
너도 탐세봐, 탐세로.
똑같은 하루에서 답답함을 빼면 더 청량해질 거야. 제로처럼. 우리 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살자. 칠성사이다 제로. 여름이 왔다. 마음껏 청량하자. 청량한 순간에 언제나 칠성사이다.
오늘의 게스트는 박상현 게스트 나오셨습니다. 아프리카 뭐야? 처음 하는데 저 새끼 누구야? 전부 다 교화시켜야겠다. 재수야, 이렇게는 안 된다고. 형이 그렇게 가르쳤어? 우리가 너무 잘못된 후배들이야. 그냥 나쁜 후배야.
Welcome back, everybody. It's that time. You know what time it is. We have to talk about the Patreon. Without support like yours, this would be impossible. AfreecaTV, they canceled the English production of the ASL because they thought that foreign fans weren't interested, and why invest the money? Well, it turns out they were very wrong. And because of support like yours, we're able to keep doing this and keep the history of this game alive.
That's right. Thank you very much, guys, for checking that out at patreon.com/ASL English. Without your support, this just would not exist. And this needs to exist because this is the greatest game that there is. And, I mean, it's so much fun every single season. These are really the two of the highlights of my year, I feel like, It's just amazing. Like, even though I have to, like, set my alarm and get up early, I love watching Pro StarCraft. I love talking about it. I love experiencing it with you firsthand as it happens. It's just awesome.
Yeah, it's really special. There's something nice and cozy about this game being this old, but also it's comforting to know that it's like this good. I don't know. StarCraft Brood War does not fail to entertain. This is the original esport. This is what started it all. And so thank you guys for the support. If you can, if you're in a financial position to do so, we hope we do encourage you. We do give you that push to go sign up for the Patreon. You will get access to the Secret Tastosis podcast. And we're about to go to this PvP, Artosis.
Yeah. This is a legendary PvP. Bisu versus Stork. They had quite a rivalry back in the day. The two best Protosses of, the peak Kespa era. Obviously, Bisu is rated a bit above, but Stork actually has a slight winning record over Bisu as far as PvP goes. So it should be a pretty good match. Like, they both still definitely can play a strong PvP. And I tell you what, Tastosis, I'm kind of excited because I feel like if we're going to get two Protosses out, let me tell you the world in which that happens, in my opinion. I think that Stork needs to win here if we're going to get two Protosses out. Because if Stork has to go through a Zerg that's probably going to cheese him and then go through either Bisu or Rush, I'm like, no. We need Stork to carry a Rush against Rush. That's how we're going to get two more Protosses
dude,
in the next
I've got
round.
so much to say about that. I mean, there's something. So, the streams that I often end up watching are just the other Protoss pro streams. I poke my head into Stork's stream from time to time. He's always doing that carry rush against Terran.
Yeah, it's all the only thing he does against Terran.
It's the only thing it's insane, Artosis. I've seen him do it so many times professionally and just on his stream that I've just started trying to do it because I'm like, well, he's doing it enough that I can probably keep watching him and pick up on this. But I do want to point out he's done it so much that it's almost like you need to stop, man. You can't just do one tricky thing like that. People are going to figure you out and just kill you.
He's not the Mud Man, he's the Mud King.
He's the Mud Emperor, yes. He's the Mud Baron. He's the Mud Baron, Artosis.
The Mud Baron. Oh, man. But, of course, Bisu, just in general, I think is in better shape than Stork. He's absolutely one of the top Protosses in the world still at this moment.
Yeah.
As far as, like, their Pro League win rates, they do, like, little Pro Leagues guys on their streams where that's a lot. Like, they all make more money there than they do in ASL and stuff. So it's, like, it's a pretty important thing that they do. And he's got the third highest Protoss win rate in the world.
He's been consistently one of the very best of the best. Never switched to StarCraft 2. Stayed with StarCraft 1 the whole time. Stork, he is... we got to say this. He's generally regarded as like the fourth best player in the world. You got one of the greats of each of the races. You got your Flash, your Jaedong, and your Bisu, and then right after that, Stork pops up. But his condition lately has been lackluster compared to what we're used to from Stork.
Yeah. I mean, he's getting older. He's actually he's right now tied for the oldest player ever to qualify for ASL. And he's a dad. There's a lot going on in his life. So I think it is a little bit harder for him to be like a championship level quality player, but he's certainly ASL quality. He's in ASL just about every season.
That's true. Yep.
And hopefully he can deliver here. I hope he goes DTs and Bisu goes 3-gate, and then
that's the PvP dreamer toast.
7 minutes we go to the commercial, and then we see if his carry rush works.
We do get that a lot, man. We do get a lot of games where 1K, 3K, either DTs, and I'm like, well, it's not always over when the casters say it's over, but when this happens, it is over, okay?
It's the worst StarCraft game
the worst possible. It's like two strategies against each other to ever broadcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's Bisu bottom left, Stork top center. Let's see what kind of game we get here. This is a map where you don't have even a big or small ramp, which is a pretty big deal in PvP, because any kind of rush has to be respected. So you can't usually tech up very fast. And I'm just very interested in kind of seeing what sort of game these two are going to make. Again, it does seem like Bisu's overall in better condition, but I would probably say that Stork's best matchup is PvP right now. Who's that?
Oh, is it? Okay. Okay. No, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm like, what is going on? I mean, it's like a good
great drawing of
I'm like,
whoever it
okay. I'm like, is that the guy that killed the person? Is this like a police sketch? What's going on? Okay. Well, we'll never know.
No, never gonna know.
But I would say that, yeah, Stork can definitely hang in this. I do feel like his worst matchup might be PvT in some of the games I've seen from him. And his PvZ is occasionally good, but I think also a little bit lacking, at least with a lot of the modern stuff.
Yeah, Stork hasn't really modernized. He just kind of does his thing. But the thing is, like, if there's going to be a matchup where he's going to be able to deliver pretty well, it's probably going to be PvP. And honestly, it might even be just specifically against Bisu, because he's proven time and time again that he's at least Bisu's equal in this matchup. Which is impressive, because Bisu has been historically a very strong Protoss versus Protoss player as well.
Yeah, no, Bisu's never been weak in the mirror matchup, which is it's saying a lot. You know, Bisu, again, the Protoss matchups, they're all so different from each other. It really is incredible how solid he's been, 15 years ago to right now. And so I'm really looking forward to this game. I just hope it doesn't end up with like one guy goes DTs, the other guy 3-gates, because that can happen on this map, by the way. 3-gating especially, or DT rushing are both extremely strong on rampless maps.
Yeah,
and
what Tastosis means is no ramp in the main base. Like anytime it's flat going out to the natural, that's where basically 3-gate becomes supercharged.
Yeah,
it becomes very, very strong, because you can set up you might be able to break through, and it's hard for your opponent to push out because you can see the units the entire time. It's not like a surprise scarab down a ramp, but because 3-gate gets strong, anytime 3-gate gets strong in this matchup, DT gets strong, because DT auto-kills it, right? And then it becomes that funny build order triangle where it's like, well, you could go Observer, but then you have less goons and the 3-gate's strong. So it's, I imagine as Protoss player, Tastosis, that has to be a pain for you when you have a map that looks like this.
It's less painful now, because I've kind of gotten used to how to play on it, but it certainly was a learning curve, I'll say that much. In this game, wait, do we have any techs yet? You're always waiting for when the core finishes to try to figure out what are they going to tech to. It looks like both sides are getting Dragoon range, which is unremarkable. It's pretty standard. If they skip that, it's crazy risky on maps like this. But there's going to be a bit of a duel here in the map. It looks like Stork will be able to chase Bisu away. And it's going to be just Gateway Robo over for Stork. And this is a build Stork does a lot, even on maps without expands, as he goes for 2 gates, and then I think he will get a Robo later on. Stork figured out a way to play PvP that is very neutral in the early game. And but you don't die. Where a lot of other players try to play to get an edge, he's a lot of times not in a big hurry to do that. We'll see if he actually gets the Robo. There's another variation that's pretty fun to do, which is 2-gate range goons into DTs. And so a lot of times you can beat people even if they're going Robo, because if you goon pressure them, they will try to get a Reaver out, and the DTs just come in and kill them that way. So Bisu, on the other hand, he's going to go for 3-gate with a Robo first, and this is also you're playing from a fairly neutral position. You just sort of don't die at anything. Both players basically saying they're not in a hurry to try to end this game, but getting there in pretty different ways. And when you see 3-gate and Robo this quickly, it's always going to be Observer. So he's safe against DTs, but still going to make enough units. He's not going to die to a 3-gate. Now, Stork coming in, and he did get the first volley anyways, so he's going to continue to push here. His Zealot getting up in the front. Like, the Zealot does so much, and you can see, actually, this is Bisu out-microing Stork a bit. He eliminated 2 units and only lost 1 there. So, very well done from him, and Stork sees what the build is, so that's quite useful. Now, I would imagine, because he saw 3-gate Robo, isn't it very likely that he'll go into, instead of Observer, go into Reaver here? Yeah, as I understand it, yeah. I mean, the idea is you just kind of, once you confirm that DTs aren't happening, unless they do something really weird, like make a Citadel now. I have seen this, by the way, but you'll kind of both be going Shuttle Reaver, and then a DT comes in later. It's not very common. But basically, when you identify DTs haven't come, you usually don't expect any DTs to come at all until the second base is up and running. And so you play, in many cases, like just a game where you have a Reaver come. He does get the Observatory, I guess, to try to snipe Bisu's Observer.
Yeah, I guess that's totally fine. He is going into that Reaver tech pretty quickly as well. He is down 1 gateway, which will give him those extra minerals that he really needs for the Reaver. But Bisu throws down the Nexus, which I think is just right here. Does Stork try to line up for a push? I would imagine he has to make a Nexus, doesn't he?
I feel like Stork has to get a Nexus here. He's playing from a defending position. I don't think that Bisu has the incentive to necessarily try to push in here. Bisu does have like a bit of a contained setup. Does he have that much more? I mean, a third gate does make a small difference in how much he can get. But it looks like the Nexus has started. I don't know that Bisu is going to go for Reaver Tech either here. Both sides are playing pretty defensively.
He does throw down that Reaver Tech, but right now, a lot of Dragoons in the middle. Looks like Stork has a few more units here than Bisu, so Bisu does have to get out of there. Of course, watching Dragoons trying to run away from each other and chase each other is always kind of hysterical. The way that they step, like, you actually get more shots than you would think.
So, Stork has pushed out a little bit, and he's made his Reaver. It's going to be a mid-game with both sides having Reaver Tech, which usually means that both sides have to keep escalating that kind of tech. Shuttle speed will probably have to be researched by both. I've seen games that have become, and I've seen Snow do this quite a bit, but if you're both on Reaver, first of all, the idea is it's kind of hard to get out of Reaver when you're both on Reaver. And so sometimes Scarab damage gets upgraded.
Oh, wow.
Which we should watch for if that does come.
Right now, they're both kind of taking their high ground areas. It's incredibly hard. We see this all the time in, like, for instance, Protoss vs. Zerg especially. If someone's standing on high ground and you have Dragoons, like, attacking up into that, missing half your shots with Dragoons that fire so slowly is not optimal. So, like, both of them holding these high grounds, it feels like this could turn into, like, a very good macro game as long as the Reaver drops don't destroy somebody.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see if that happens here. I mean, this is a pretty... You got to know when your main is in the angle that it is now, that Reaver drops are going to be a threat. So Stork decides to, see if he can fly in. One of the forgiving things about PvP is that, you have shields on your shuttles, just like you have shields on everything. So you can always try to peek in and see if you can get something done, and as long as you don't take too much damage, the shield's going to recharge pretty quick, and you can try again later.
Right now, just Reavers and Dragoons being made. If they want to go heavy 2-base, generally it's 6 gates plus the Reaver production. Other than that, we could just see them go ahead and take those third Nexuses, since the third base location is actually covered by this high ground as well. So definitely a very strong defensive position. And yeah, both of them going up to 4 gates for now.
And so this is going to be a pretty long PvP. I mean, this is really exciting, by the way, because these two guys are so good. And PvP is a matchup that it doesn't have to, but it does end fast very often.
Yeah.
It's a matchup.
I like PvPs like this. When it gets to this stage, Tastosis, PvP actually becomes a really good matchup. It's just sometimes you do get those silly openings we were talking about, and when that happens, I'm like, okay, this matchup's done. Dumb, but then I see a game like this, I'm like, okay, this is very cool because they have such similar armies. So it's like, okay, what are you going to do here tactically?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question, right? And we almost never get to cast like a crazy late game, end game PvP. Now, Bisu's going to try to push. I don't know that he can actually get up here. He might have more Dragoons, but, well, I've seen some more come over here from the side of Stork, and keep in mind, Dragoons don't fire that fast, so, like, when you have a chance to miss on high ground, shuttle speed done, by the way. Oh, my God, he saves that one, too.
Oh, Bisu's Reavers are doing so well here. It's absolutely insane, but Stork keeping his alive as well. Look at the death of Dragoons here, absolutely everywhere. Who's going to win this battle? It is so close.
It's pretty close. Can Stork get a kill on this final Reaver? It looks like he can't. It would be great if he could actually dash in there and get the kill. But instead, his Observer is going to be under attack. Bisu, it was a pretty close fight, but at the end of the day, you can kind of see that there's really... He needs to kill this Reaver. Okay, I was like going to lose my mind if he just backs up after all that. It's a bit of a trade. You know, high ground PvP is way better than the low ground. I mean, obviously, there's no real benefit for ever being in low ground in StarCraft 1, but with the fact that Dragoons don't fire that fast, the Dragoons up that high up are so strong. I didn't see, by the way, if shuttle speed was upgraded or not. It looks like Bisu's shuttle speed was not. I'm sorry, I didn't mean shuttle speed. I meant scarab damage. I know that Stork has shuttle speed, but Bisu doesn't, but I don't know if maybe Bisu went for scarab damage and that's why he tried to take the fight or what.
Maybe. I didn't get to really realize. It looks like the observer thinking the same thing. He just checked Stork. Stork does absolutely not have it. By the way, Stork does have a pretty significant supply advantage after that fight, even though the fight was pretty equal. Now, does that mean he has more probes here, or is he just macroing better?
Well, sometimes in this phase of the game, if they both go Reaver, they just lean completely into Shuttle Reaver. They don't try to tech past it. They don't try to get out of it. Because, you know what, you're going to tech into speed lots or something. That's not that helpful. Storm is very good. Storm is actually better than, in some ways, than a Shuttle and a Reaver is. And Storm drops onto the worker line are devastating in the matchup. But I have seen many, many pros that just sort of lock in to speed Shuttle Reaver, and they just continue to try to Reaver it out until one of them can't anymore.
Well, they definitely both have added a lot of gates at this point. In fact, Stork is going up, what is this, 3, 6? He's going up to 8 gates on 2 base, which I almost never, ever see. But I actually think he is up a bit in probes. So with the super saturation, I feel like he is just going for it, man. I think he knows he has a bit of a supply lead. And if he just really pumps units, he may be able to break Bisu.
It seems like it. I see Zealots being made. Do we have a Citadel? Looks like the Observer's trying to find out. I don't think we saw one. I mean, if you have a little bit of a gas shortage, you can make a Zealot instead of a Dragoon. It seems like organically you end up with a couple more Zealots as time passes. And Stork, really good Scarab shots. Oh my god.
Dude, he is crushing right now with these Reavers. Of course, Bisu microing his Reavers back as well, getting some good shots, but his units are going to be picked off. Stork right now still with 2 Reavers in here, should be able to push these Dragoons back, and if he takes control of Bisu's high ground, that's going to be a problem.
Okay, but he comes and dives in. He's swapping the shots so well. Look at this. Bisu's so smart. He's actually going to win this fight. I think Stork overextended just slightly. You know, there's this kind of juggle you do with the shuttle, exposing that for a second, then the Reaver, then backing away with the shuttle, then picking the Reaver back up. And Stork did pretty well, but Bisu basically rotated his shots to optimize there. He knew when to stop hitting the shuttle, when to then hit the Reaver, when to then dive on the shuttle again. And it was handled pretty perfectly. There is still this 10 supply difference, Tastosis. I wish we could see the probe count.
It's in probes, Tasteless.
Is
it's in probes. Yeah, because see this? They're actually showing the mineral patches now, and like you can just kind of see that Stork did have more probes this entire game. Like his natural is way more mined out than Bisu's, I think, and that is how he got a couple more gates. So he does have that supply advantage, but he might just mine out first.
Wait, no, Bisu's mined out more than Stork. Am I crazy?
No, I think you're crazy. Like if you look at
you're right.
To me like Stork has more probes for sure.
I'm sorry, everybody. I don't know. I had like some kind of brain lapse there. Well, I guess the idea is that like any teching out of this is too risky because the other guy just spends more money on Dragoons and Reavers, which are better for a little bit. It takes a little bit of time to get Storm done to spend the gas on that, and then you have to sit on Zealots for a little bit. And so they're both just kind of hanging on to this. Now, here's one thing to note. If Stork can't get any real headway here, like he's going to mine out his main, he's going to have to take another Nexus. Those probes are not that much more helpful if you send them all on that base. That could be the moment for Bisu to try to even this out, is when Stork has to expand again. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, Stork definitely, he has his probe over there, and as he runs out of these mineral patches, like, well, if you're not going to kill your opponent, you got to attack. And look at this. He brought the shuttle in the main. Bisu moved a lot of units in the main, and now Stork's going to try to take that high ground. A very good tactic here from Stork. Look at this. He's going to get all of his units onto the high ground. He's up 30 supply right now. Dude, I think Bisu's screwed. This is such a good position for Stork.
Yeah, I think that Stork really, you know, he's showing like a masterclass level understanding of the matchup. And I thought he was going to just maybe lurk outside of this high ground area. He's actually going to push Tastosis.
Oh, dude, he's just going for it. He's going ham right now. He snipes that shuttle really quickly, getting the damage onto these Reavers. Actually takes a huge scare of himself. And now Bisu comes in with the flank. And now Stork may be in trouble. He thought he could get him. But can he? Bisu coming back down.
Man, these shuttles are so important. He's doing a perfect job of waiting. He's literally waiting for the shot to fire before he decides to pick up the Reaver or not. That's what he's actually doing. If you watch it slowly, he's literally like looking as it comes out and goes, okay, you're targeting the Reaver, I'll pick it up so the shot misses. If it's the shuttle, he'll move away. GG, Bisu dies as Stork powers through with just a beautiful PvP push. That was a real, you know, man, as a student of the race, I really appreciate that game. That was very cool to see. I would like to go back and figure out if Scarab damage was ever upgraded there. The Observer might have tried to show us, but a lot of times when shuttles and Reavers are shooting, you know, you tend not to look at the the bottom right tab, right? You're trying to see how those Scarabs connect.
Sure. Dude, I gotta tell you, like, I'm not a student of Protoss vs. Pros, but that was a great one. That one was really cool, seeing the different tactics they were trying to utilize. Stork with his super saturation, the way that he got Bisu to get out of position for a moment, and then took that position, and then Bisu's flank almost broke it. But I felt like the Reaver micro was amazing. Really well done for Stork, Tastosis, and we're keeping the 2 Protoss stream alive. My path is still open here.
Tastosis has the Protoss hope. He knows, even, you know, as much as he hates Protoss, in his own bones, he knows that he's got to get a couple of these guys to go on to make this show good, right?
Seriously, well, the show is better with a more equal race distribution. So if we get 4 Protoss, man, I'm super happy. But, I mean, it's going to be a tough match for Stork as he goes up against Rush. Rush is extremely good at Terran versus Protoss. And Stork is just going to go carriers, so Rush already knows that.
Yeah, and one thing to note, I think that there is a world where Bisu actually wins this fight, but notice that the Reavers are at the very bottom here. That's by design. This is something I'm trying to improve in my own play, is like actually doing everything with purpose. And like this is the hardest spot for the Dragoons to get to. Now look at that. He's looking as the shots fire. Believe it or not, Dragoon shots are actually that slow. If you really pay attention, you can tell, okay, exactly when it's about to come out, and you go, I'm going to scoop it up. I've done it myself in games, and it's all you need sometimes to win a game is like 1 to 2 extra Reaver shots, and that's what we had. Great play. Also, Bisu, no shuttle with his Reavers. He might have won that had he done that. Guys, short break. Stork vs. Rush coming up next. You don't want to miss it. We will be right back.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
너도 탐세봐 탐세로.
똑같은 하루에서 답답함을 빼면 더 청량해질 거야. 제로처럼. 우리 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살자. 칠성사이다 제로. 여름이 왔다. 마음껏 청량하자. 청량한 순간에 언제나 칠성사이다.
오늘의 게스트는 박상현 게스트 나오셨습니다. 아프리카 뭐야? 처음 하는데 저 새끼 누구냐? 정보다 교화시켜야겠다. 재수야, 이렇게 하면 안 된다고. 형이 그렇게 가르쳤어? 우리가 너무 잘못된 후배들이야. 그냥 나쁜 후배야.
What's up, everybody? ASL's back. Yo, yo, yo. It's your boys, Tastosis. How's everybody doing? Artosis, it's your turn. You got to talk now.
Well, yeah, I like the intro so much.
I had to be him. Yeah.
I meant to look at the vetoes, but I did see that we are not going to be playing on La Campiola. That's the one thing that I was like, this is how Rush can really screw this up, because I think that's a very good carrier map, but it looks like he's vetoed that. So we're going to be playing on Tempest, which, you know, this lends itself to Nexus first. It lends itself to gasless expands. But the thing is, the only thing I'm calculating here is how Stork gets into carriers and how Rush stops that, right? Because, like, we're not joking, guys. We watch a lot of Stork games.
Yeah.
He literally goes carriers, like, every game.
Well, it's not only
like,
that he goes carriers, he goes for, like, really, really unusually timed out carriers. So,
yeah,
I'm with you, Artosis. I mean, we're kind of joking about it, but it does seem like this is what he's been tinkering with. Unless he's got something else up his sleeve, we're going to find out, guys. The winner will get that second to last spot in the round of 16, either Rush or Stork. Okay. In the sorry, guys. I think, yeah, sorry. Protoss is in the top right. Terran's in the bottom right. I got that switched around in my brain for a second.
Yeah, so I just want to throw this out there real quick, right? You have a natural that is on high ground, okay? Right. So when you have a natural that's on high ground, it becomes much harder to bust with a Rush. So it makes Nexus first much stronger, but that might turn into a greedy Nexus first, which means that there's still room for it to get busted. But the thing is, if you're going to play against a Nexus first and your opponent doesn't do it greedy, you're never going to bust it as Terran, which makes you want to go ahead and go for, like, a gasless expand. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to go for gasless expand, going for a very fast Zealot is very good against that. Right? So that's kind of like the little bit of rock, paper, scissors that might happen here. Like, obviously, you can still do all these other builds. Oh, we got scanning the audience there. But that's kind of the thing that I'm looking at. Like, is Stork going to mix this up and, like, go for a fast Zealot? Is Rush going to go for the gasless expansion that I expect? And, dude, this is exactly what's happening. So Stork is going for a forward-gated Zealot, and it's going to be against a gasless expand where he's actually scouting the wrong direction, so it's more likely for Rush to not get the second depot. This could turn very well for Stork. We'll see.
Yeah. Kind of cool placement, by the way, at the big ramp like that at the natural. Mm-hmm. I didn't really realize you could even make a gateway that close to the edge like that. So, yeah, he's going to have a Zealot come out right away. We've seen... some players go for builds like this after gas steal, but I guess the idea is it's so obvious that Terran should just take a quick base because of the way the natural's set up, that Stork basically opens up with a Rush blindly set up to deal with what Terran's doing.
Yeah, he actually, Rush scouted that so quickly, he's going to make the second depot and just make Marines so that he can stop this. So this was a very lucky scout. If he had not scouted that right away, almost every time you'll see from Pro Terrans that they'll just make the command center not the second depot, which means they'll have, like, one Marine when the Zealot gets there. But here he'll have 2 to 3. So, this is now turning better for Rush based on the scout timing. It's crazy how TVP can be sometimes.
I love the engineering bay here. This is a really abusive, fun thing that Terran can do. Where you just throw that down, and now, because the idea is that you're going to expand while you do this, but now he has to pull workers to defend this. The first hit lands on the Marine, but after that, they're pretty much over to where they can be safe. You know, one thing with hits on the Marines is that they're basically permanent. I mean, you're probably not going to make a medic this game, so you got to be very careful to always get that away as quick as possible. And honestly, things are going to kind of calm down here. I mean, it looks like they're going to get their expansions up at roughly the same time.
Yeah, it looks like it will mostly equal out here.
Oh my god.
He dives on that Zealot and gets rid of it. I actually quite like that move to reduce that Zealot. Because there's always that threat of the Zealots being useful later
Take a look at this probe that blocks the ramp.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you don't know what kind of tech is coming. It's really helpful for the Terran to get in there and figure out, if there is any kind of tech coming for them. Let's say that there's like a DT play or a quick Reaver or neither. Right now Rush is stuck guessing.
Yeah, that is a very smart move from Stork, I think. And Rush is actually going to send his Marines across the map. And this is going to be him trying to force a scout, right? If there's going to be only one Zealot, which it looks like it will be, the SCV plus 4 Marines can beat that Zealot and then push the ramp back. And then he'll be able to get that scout, because that's really what he needs here. Like, he needs to make sure that this isn't something like Dark Templar.
Okay, he's going to come up now. The second Zealot's out. That's going to be very strong against the
I think that's just the one Zealot still.
I'm sorry. I think I might have not seen that correctly. He can actually run inside the main. No, too late. The Marines are going to be spread out, and this is like as good as you could ask for with control. And now the probes are kind of tripping over each other. The Dragoon's going to come out. He's going to send one Marine in to basically figure out what's going on.
This was so well executed from Rush.
This was about as good as it ever could have gone.
And I don't think I've ever seen this set of moves together. Like, everything made sense.
Yeah.
But, like, Protoss normally doesn't hold a ramp like that and normally doesn't sit on just one Zealot. And, like, so Rush, on the fly, made all these choices that allowed him to scout a Robo, and now he doesn't have to get detection. Now he can really optimize his build however he wants. Like, he might go for a 4 factory, he might just go quick armory or starport. We don't know exactly what he's going to do, but it's up to him. He has all the information.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it was really like him kind of intuiting what he needed to do in that moment. He's in fantastic condition now. And, the classic PvT of, like, let's try to harass the bunker. I mean, the bunker's literally placed perfectly. You can't attack it and not be hit from it. So, Stork, I think, is making the right call. He's just going to take a third base immediately. He's already beginning that pylon wall over there.
Yeah, this all makes a lot of sense. And, I don't know exactly what's being made in that machine shop. I don't think it's Siege. Like, this map, with a bunker like that, as you said, you can't even harass it with ranged goons. Right. You can't see it without getting hit. So I think it's probably just going to be Vulture speed, and he's going to try like a run-by, something like that, see if he can get some probes. He has the armory coming too. Like, he's doing an excellent job of greeting hard here. Like, he is making a lot of SCVs. You can see he's getting in the engineering bay as opposed to an academy, which is going to allow him to just have more SCVs in general. And if this does... Oh, no, it did go into mines. So he is still trying to... kind of go around and scout with these vultures, lay some mines down in expansion locations. But Stork kind of on top of that, already has that Nexus up.
Oh! Got to be careful with that next one. There's only one more mine left. It looks like he's going to even still get a little bit of value with that one vulture. Always nice to kill a probe like that. The Observer comes in, he sees the armory, he sees the 2 factories, and he knows it's going to be a little bit. Stork is going for... Robo. Now, I want to just mention real quickly here, we were talking before this match started that Stork was 100% going to go for carriers, and frankly, I thought he was, and I thought it was going to be one of the games where he goes for like 2-base carrier. Carriers is still a possibility. There's no rule that says you can't go Reaver into carrier. In fact, a lot of times Reaver carrier is really good because they kind of cover each other nicely.
Yeah. In fact, I think it's the most common way to go carriers, to go Reaver first. It just helps, like, stop pushes. It makes your opponent defend a little bit more, and that opens up the window.
Exactly. So the carriers may still come. I don't think that we would see any kind of Arbiter tech. Arbiter's really, like, it seems like it's on its way out. It's just not what. Let me rephrase that. We're not going to see the classic PvT that players like Stork used to play, where he would go for like 3-base to 4-base Arbiter and just try to run around and stasis stuff. If we do, okay, then you color me surprised. But I don't know if Stork is going to just start massing shuttles and going for Storm, which is the modern style. I think he prefers carrier tech, but we'll find out.
That would actually be what would shock me. Like, I'm not surprised he's going Reaver because it connects into carrier well. But if he goes for the shuttle style, like Rush plays against that all day. That is the most popular thing. A lot of top Protosses like to do that, and I don't think that that's really Stork's skill set, honestly. Like, he's actually very good at the stupid carrier builds that we keep making fun of. So, like, I think, you know, Reaver into that. Yeah, there's the Stargate. So, see, Tastosis, we were right. He's making sure he has a few more units just so he doesn't get busted easily.
Yeah. Haters will hate, man, but we were speaking the truth, dude. He likes to do that that carrier style. And so I don't see a third command center. Yeah, so he's just going to power up on 2 bases. This is pretty common. This is... It really does come down to the Terran's one big push and how ready the Protoss is going to be for it. Because if you get flattened by the push, then it just doesn't matter what you had planned for. But what Stork is rushing up to is very safe carriers. This is very different from a lot of the stuff that we've seen before, and good blocking here. I mean, these Vultures get literally no value at all, only taking shields out on the Dragoons.
Yeah, and Rush right now is playing pretty defensive. This is what Reaver will do to you. Like, it's pretty darn common to go up to like 5 factories against Reaver before taking your third base.
Yeah.
He's running around with some Vultures, you know, laying some mines. He has a decent missile turret coverage. He even used the scan. Now, he just scouted this. Just scanned the fact that the fleet beacon's warping. So that actually gives him enough time to adjust his plan to play against this correctly. And look at that. Adds another factory immediately.
So he's got the dropship now. He's going to continue to roam here. And, I mean, this is going to be a moment where he can just start to sweep the map out. I wish we could get a shot of that base at the top left. I know he had it blocked off. Okay, it's actually entirely walled in, but he has 2 cannons.
Yeah, those 2 siege tanks are going to be a problem. Like, he's rotating his Vultures to lay mines on the path that would get you to where he's going to drop the siege tanks. And behind this, he's got the 1 add-on. He's getting Goliath range. He's making tanks and making Goliaths. So, like, this, it looks perfect from Rush. I love this. And that's going to be so annoying for Stork to deal with.
Yeah, you know, I actually misread what this was. I thought he was going to try to drop inside the pylon wall, which if you ever watch my stream, I have plenty of horrifying moments where I end up losing, like, the game because I can't get inside my own expansion to save it.
Yeah.
He actually was doing... it's actually pretty old, but I think it's still really strong. Just to roam the map with the Vultures and the dropship, the 2 tanks, and just set up a really good position. And he's going to get the Forge. I mean, this isn't something we normally cast in a PvT. It's like, oh my god, the Terran got his base and killed the Forge. But, like, that is annoying for the Protoss. Upgrades do matter for this race, too.
Yeah. No, it's a great move. And honestly, this type of move has been coming back into style a lot lately. And that I think that was quite successful. Now, the Reaver's actually doing a great job. They've already killed like 4 Goliaths here, but with that range, it does get a little bit tricky, and he targets that down. But you know what? These 2 Reavers did end up killing a lot. Doesn't quite get that next Scarab off, but he killed like 6 Goliaths, you know, damaged some tanks, so it wasn't a complete loss, but maybe he could have been a little bit quicker on that micro.
Well, I'll tell you, man, losing the shuttle and Reaver is pretty big when you're teching a carrier. Yeah. I mean, he might die to the push. You need about 4 carriers before there's enough interceptors that the Terran has to really... Oh, now he is doing the same thing here. But you need about 4 carriers before they can kind of be a threat, and I think actually Rush is just going to straight up, like, win the game here.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh god, look at that drop, Tastosis. I'm getting flashbacks to 25 years ago.
Oh, and it's just like my first experience on Lost Temple right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what's funny is that I like, you know, we look over all the maps like before the tournament, but like I actually, for some reason in my head, it didn't even occur to me you could drop them there. It's very rare that they make expansions anymore where you can put siege tanks right above them and just hit stuff because it's considered so strong, but I guess they have it on this map.
Well, the carriers are out, but it's only 2. As you said, you really do need 4 before they become powerful. Stork has bled a lot of units. He was actually up at like 160 supply, and now he's down at 130. He's barely touched anything that Rush has. So this is looking very, very good for Rush. Stork's carrier rush here doesn't seem like it's going to be the key to victory for him.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is unfortunately a couple small errors, and honestly a really solid game here from Rush. I mean, there's really no way to recover. Rush is playing pretty perfectly. I think that Stork is still, trying to give it his best, but as long as, Terran can push into this base here at the top center, I don't think there's any way that you can recover.
Yeah, if Stork could bust this army, he would actually be okay, because he's actually really good at like 1 to 2 base carrier. It happens to him a hilarious amount.
Yes, he is.
But yeah, in this case, it's like the carriers are just a little bit too late. It feels like there's just enough Goliaths. Like even his defense over at his 3rd base is falling. One of these carriers very, very close to death at this point. It doesn't feel like there's any real options here for Stork.
Yeah, exactly. Carriers are going to come in again. He snipes one. That's it. GG. Rush moves on. One more Terran. What does that make it? 6 Terrans? 7 Zergs?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, the world is just.
So I'm like, who knows how many numbers are in the magic number 16?
Something like that.
So, this is... I mean, I gotta say, Rush clearly deserved to win here. I mean, he just really outshined everybody. Stork knows he's gonna have to go up against either Bisu again or our dark horse, ivOry.
Mm-hmm. That's still a reasonable shot for Stork to get out of this group. But Stork definitely, if he goes that next round, I think he's going to be one of the guys that's picked up early in groups. Honestly, like I love the story of Stork. He's such a seasoned veteran, but it's hard to imagine him being a regular in the round of 16.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm kind of surprised Stork didn't do something more drastic, but I guess he kind of wanted to just lean in on his trusted style of play of going for carriers. I mean, this was a guy that has managed to do so much with carriers so many different times. But at the end of the day, I mean, Rush is just a robust, solid Terran, and it's kind of, it's fun to speculate what's going to happen, but, hindsight's always 20/20, right? It seems so obvious. Like, of course Rush is going to trounce Stork.
Well, the thing is, he's so predictable as well. Like, Rush knows what to look for. Everyone knows that he's going carriers. Right? He went Reaver this time to kind of bridge that gap, so at least he's, like, trying a different way to do it. But just the fact that he's going to do that, like, that's part of why Rush, I'm sure, it was not only going dropship for scouting, but scanning and being very careful about laying down a 3rd command center, because he wants to be able to attack when he needs to.
All right, well, we're going to go to the losers match now. We're going to have a short little break, everybody. It's going to be Bisu versus ivOry.
You're currently watching the ASL Season 16 Ro.24 Group F match. The first player to make it to round 16 from Group F is Rush. We're going to have an interview with him. Congratulations. Thank you. Rush, you now secure your 7th consecutive round 16 advancement. You must be feeling really happy right now. How do you feel? Well, first of all, the first match was kind of shaky, but I think I got a clean win in the second match, so I'm quite happy. In the first match, the sharp, aggressive attack from the amateur player ivOry probably caught you off guard at least once. What was you feeling like when the Zerglings and Mutalisks surrounded your army? Well, by then I pretty much lost the game, but amateur players in general, they tend to lose strength during the mid-late game, so I was able to make a comeback. Rush, you still countered with the Valkyries and opted for the rush when you realized when the opponent was going for the late lurkers. You looked extremely relieved after you won the first match. Oh yeah, the first match was definitely the hardest. And just like you said, you made immaculate plays against Stork in the winners match. The dropships kept checking the 12 o'clock position, and this gave you some time to accumulate your army. How did you make the decision? Well, I just strategized exactly like I did in practice. I mainly practiced TVP on Tempest, and I think everything worked out as I had planned. Rush, you definitely know how to prepare for round 24 since you're a veteran when it comes to ASL. And I think you'd have your eyes set on the trophy this season.
가장 간절하게 하실 선수가 또 유영진 선수가 아닐까 싶어요. 높은 무대에서
Since you're so close to being a champion, you'd have a special goal this season, right?
좀 남다르시죠?
일단 현재 폼 자체는
Well, I don't think my form is great right now, but at the same time, I tend to advance easily when I play like this. So if I take it by step, I think I should be able to get good results this season.
자신감 있는 유영진 선수의 어투에서 이번 시즌
Well,
굉장히
we can only
기대하게
look forward to your
만드는
performance
마음이
this season.
생기네요. 팬분들도 아마 그러실 것
I'm
같고요.
sure the fans think
동료들도
alike.
많은 응원을 해주실 것 같습니다.
To whom do you want to express your gratitude?
일단 연습 도와준
I have a lot of practice partners, JD,
그리고
Sexry,
예훈이랑 영환이,
Shine,
그리고
YFC,
재욱이
Best,
형, 현재가
and Minnie. They helped me so
많이
much, so I'm
고맙고,
thankful to them.
그리고 현장에 찾아와 주신
And also I want to thank my university clan members, YB friends.
항상 그 YB에서 운영
And also a special shout out to C, who takes care of our clan. And last but not least, I want to thank my wife and daughter.
팬분들도
And also,
너무
I
감사합니다.
appreciate the
네, 다시
support
한번
from the
16강
fans.
진출
Once
축하드립니다.
again, congratulations on your advancement to round 16 rush. Thank you.
자, 이렇게 오늘의
And
첫
that's
번째
it for the
16강
first
진출자
interview
유영진
with
선수와
Rush, who just
함께했습니다.
advanced to round 16
패자전은
of ASL
이지호 선수와
16.
김태경 선수가 기다리고 있습니다. 잠시 후에 두 선수의 경기 만나보시죠.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
너도 탐세봐 탐세로.
똑같은 하루에서 답답함을 빼면 더 청량해질 거야. 제로처럼. 우리 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살자. 칠성사이다 제로. 여름이 왔다. 마음껏 청량하자. 청량한 순간에 언제나 칠성사이다.
오늘의 게스트는 박상현 캐스터 나오셨습니다. 아프리카 뭐야? 처음 하는데 저 새끼 누구냐? 전부 다 교화시켜야겠다. 재수야, 이렇게는 안 된다고. 형이 그렇게 가르쳤어? 우리가 너무 잘못된 후배들이야. 그냥 나쁜 후배야.
And we are back. What's up, everybody? It's time to eliminate a player from Group F. We've got ivOry and we've got Bisu. Look, man, Bisu is supposed to win here, but I'm not sure. I mean, we've had so many upsets. It feels like we're in some kind of weird period in StarCraft where, like, establishment, pros that we all have already concluded a long time ago are the best of the best are getting killed. Not even in the round of 16. In the round of 24.
Yeah.
So,
but that being said, like, Bisu is still godly at PvZ. It's hard for me to imagine this newcomer taking him out, right?
Dude,
like,
you say that.
He
looks harmless. He looks a little bit like a baby bird. I will say that.
Yeah.
ivOry does have, like, for hair, he has like owl feathers, like baby owl feathers on his head.
Yeah, it's like the fur stuff that's not really, you can't fly with that yet.
Yeah, he's still in the nest. There it is. Look at that. He's
for sure.
Yeah, he's still cute. He's not grizzled. He's not turned into what Brood War will eventually make you, which is a grizzled old man.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, guys, we're going to hop into this match. Again, Bisu, the god of PvZ. I think he should be able to take this, but we've had some crazy upsets. Let's keep an open mind here. And the winner, of course, will go up against Stork in the final match of the round of 24 before we go into the round of 16. Okay. In the very bottom right, we've got Bisu down here. Red Protoss. Blue Zerg over here, ivOry.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something that we talked about before, and we can talk about again here. Because of that ramped natural, Hydra busts are much weaker. Now, that we did have a Hydra bust earlier in the season that... Right, it killed Shuttle, if I'm recalling correctly, where he had like one cannon and it was in a funny location and then the Hydras ran up. So that can occur, but like in general, it's much harder to bust uphill.
Correct. Bisu, I would not be surprised to see him do anything. Oh, hey, nice sign.
Excellent sign.
Excellent sign. We love seeing those. Even though we're not going to be back in that studio, we do appreciate seeing it in the production. So hope you enjoyed your time in Seoul. This is what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. With these players and Bisu specifically, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bisu do anything. I don't think he's going to go for just Nexus first or anything too risky like that. I would have to believe it's probably going to be Forge or Gateway. Usually, if you see the probe already sent out, it is going to be the Forge first, but Tastosis.
Yeah.
I literally could not have been more wrong. Here it is now. He's sending the probe out. Either it's going to be a late Forge or a Gateway, or it's going to be a Nexus.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the late Forge there. Like, I think he has it timed so that it's as late as possible but can still block the early pull.
You are 100% right. This is me being guilty of never Forge expanding anymore. I'm only Gateway expand, and the Forge expand is alien to me. I'm over it. I either 2-gate or I gate expand, but you're completely right. So this is me, like I'm supposed to be like the resident Protoss expert, but I have my own biases on builds. This is not one that I've been running. But over here
me
for
Protoss, me like Zealot.
Me not like, make attack building, me make attack unit. So we have
me not make attack building. That's so funny. Attack building.
Zealot have legs, can move.
Oh, insight into your mind of StarCraft tastes. I love it.
Now the fact that it's 2 hatch into a quick gas here, I mean, Bisu's got to be knowing that something's coming. You know, when you see 3 hatches into gas, it's a little bit more normal, but getting gas this quick, I mean, it could be a rush into layer, it could be a rush into Hydras, it could be Speedlings, and it's going to be a layer. Now, what's funny is he's okay showing this to Bisu, which I always find interesting. So, I mean, now, usually when you see a layer on 2 hatch, you think mutas, but there are like lurker drops and other weird, cheesy things you can do to try to mess them up. But I think of all people in the whole world, all the Protosses that have ever been, I feel like Bisu is by far the best at dealing with stuff like this.
He's extremely robust. So, yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that. I think you have to kill the probe because you have to have them wondering, is this lurker, is this muta, or is it some sort of draw? Right? Like, they have to, there has to be multiple things that Bisu's nervous about here for you to have a chance to win from this position, I think. Honestly, it kind of looks like a 2-hat Spire to me right now. That's kind of what
well, that's like the main line opening, right? I mean, you can play 2-hatch Spire and try to get into a healthy position later on. But anything that isn't that, you know, it's basically pretty cheesy. It just comes down to, like, did Protoss make cannons in the right spot? You know? Yeah. Like, can you get tricked up into thinking that you're getting, you know, that it's mutas and then they lurker drop you and you don't have a cannon in your main? But 2-hatch mutas, I mean, first of all, it's no joke. They're going to come at you very early. You need to probably get air weapons. You need to have cannons covering the Stargate. And, you know, I guess the other question we got to ask ourselves from the Zerg's perspective is, how far are you willing to go with this? Are you going to make a whole mess of Scourge and try to come in and just, you know, strong arm the Protoss out of the game? Are you going to go up to like 5 mutas and then stop and try to tech out into something quickly and hope that the Protoss overreacts to this?
Yeah, those are the questions, really. You know, Bisu, it's going to be hard for him to even verify what it's going to be until it shows up. He actually goes for a second Stargate here, so he's completely sure about the Spire. And it does start at least one photon cannon. Obviously, you do need to defend those mineral lines. You know, once Zerg gets up to 5 mutas, they start one-shotting probes. So you cannot let that occur.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually lose a game by just having enough probes get killed. I mean, you can lose probes so fast. Huge block. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Okay, and the mutas don't hatch yet. So Bisu's still guessing. Now, one thing is you get up there, you see the second gas. That usually tells you it's mutas. But basically, Bisu's like, okay, I have to confirm what's going on here. So he's going to send this in, and he'll be able to see that it's going to be not a Hydra bust.
Yeah, I think you're
seeing the second gas
very quickly at this point.
Seeing the second gas, you basically know it's not, but at the same time, like, you know, Zerg can be tricky.
At this point, it would have to be mutas or, like, maybe a lurker drop could have, like, a second gas?
Yeah, good. Ooh! So a bit of an overextension.
Yeah, the Scourge trying to get a dive there. They don't quite get it. Really well-placed cannons. But we don't actually have mutas yet. Like, could this just be quick Scourge to make Bisu overreact? But even this, is this overreacting against someone who only has 2 hatches? You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a... I'm already looking at this game, Tastosis, and I'm like, how does Zerg ever win this now?
Okay,
well, that's one way.
He has 1 Corsair. That's good, yeah. Another Corsair is scouting, and he did see mutas there. There is a 3rd base. What? He's going to take a 4th base, too? Dude, this is kind of cool. What is this?
Yeah, well, he's going to play this out so that he can take the top left and turtle. So he's not playing a normal game where he's just going to be in his little quadrant. And he's kind of defending one area on the map. He's going to have 2 choke points that he can really turtle up in. It's a pretty abusive way to play. I personally hate playing against it. And keep in mind, by the way, when you see double Stargate, it doesn't mean that the Zerg has to stop. I mean, Corsairs technically counter mutas, but if you can hit the Corsairs with Scourge at the right angle and kill them, then you've won the game. There's also a trick with micro-range Corsairs that I haven't learned how to do yet, but you can make the Corsair, like, turn and shoot. It's
what do you mean, like a flick shot, like a vulture or something?
It's something like that, where you can make it shoot and, like, kind of keep moving, basically. Like, shoot to the side.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know they do moving shot pretty well, but, like...
No, this is different.
A flick to the side and move, that's very different.
Yeah, I need to learn how to do it, because I don't think I can rank up as high as I need to if I get in a game where a guy goes mutas. But yeah, we'll see if we have it this time around. So, Protoss is not backing down from Corsairs. He might go all the way up to 11, and then, just like you see with a lot of Zergs, he might lock a probe in a corner. Kind of like when you see Zerg add an Overlord to the control group, so that the Corsairs really stack up, so it's hard to kind of, shift-click Scourge on him and stuff like that. Big scout with the Zealots. This was really important that he actually came in and did that, because now he knows what kind of game he's in for.
Yeah, and I want to mention there are 11 +1 Corsairs. It is against +1 Flyer Carapace, so that's good. And he does have that probe behind the mineral patches. So he is going to keep these stacked. They're all going to shoot at the same time and be very deadly against mutas. I'm afraid for ivOry right now. That's a lot of Corsairs, man. But quite a few Scourge being fielded as well.
Yep, Scourge are a lot of Scourge are coming out here. I mean, he's basically going to try his best to overpower this. Looks like there's a stray Corsair, maybe a bad rally. I'm not sure. He's going to try to fly it back. He doesn't manage to get it out. ivOry guns that down. We do have speed Zealots. I think he wants to run this by. And this is what I'm talking about, Tastosis!
Ooh, still enough Corsairs here to absolutely ravage. He loses 5 in that battle, but kills off all of the mutas, which means, guess what? These Overlords are going to go down. Bisu is going to be so far ahead. I think that this basically just ended the game.
Well, what you can do is you're going to kill off all the overlords, and then you can't actually make the units that you need to defend the overlords, so you get like locked out of production. It's one of the most frustrating feelings in the whole world is when the Corsairs kill all your overlords. And you can see he's just got enough that they can basically shoot down Scourge before he has to fight them. He's still making zealots out of like that one gateway. I think he's got more gateways coming here, but now all he has to do is start to move around the map and kill overlords. And honestly, ivOry looked pretty upset after the Corsairs, 5 of them were still there. I don't know if he didn't distribute the damage right. I don't know if Bisu's just dealt with this enough to be... He didn't even try to fire the Scourge. He was just sticking on the mutas, which is a kind of shocking moment. But yeah, he's just continuing to accumulate it, and so ivOry just taps out. GG. Good run. I'll tell you what, ivOry had one of the toughest groups you could ever imagine. Had to play against Rush and Bisu. Bisu wins. I mean, it's just another PvZ from Bisu. I do feel like you're never going to beat Bisu with 2-hatch layer. Like he had to solve all the fast expand problems for PvZ. He solved that.
Yeah.
And you're going to go up against Bisu with you're going to go against the best Corsair user of all time. It's just like the fact that Bisu didn't even try to hit the Scourge. I look at that and I'm like, okay, you must know something that I don't. Like, you just know that you have to target the mutas. You don't target the Scourge there.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense in a way. If you have stacked 11 Corsairs and they bring in a whole group of Scourge, like even if they connect perfectly, which they probably won't because you're stacked, you're only going to lose 5-6 Corsairs. So, like, you still are going to have those left over if it's one group.
So let's watch this fight. Yeah, let's see if we can understand this, because we didn't end up seeing that Corsair flick shot that I'm talking about, but like he comes up, now he'll fight those Scourge, and then look, he just clicks on the mutas. He sees these Scourge coming. It's not like he's making stuff at his gateways. I guess he just I guess that's it. Once you get 11 and you can stack them like that, it's like, well, it's actually pretty much impossible for them to have their Scourge split correctly. And all you have to do is kill the mutas because he went after that.
He is the Protoss God, Tastosis. Maybe the whole trick is just not being afraid of Zerg. Like, he's like, yeah, it doesn't matter, man. I have plenty.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to. If you want to beat Zerg, you have to confront your fears, okay?
Yeah.
It's like the book It.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break. The rematch PvP coming up next for that final spot in the round of 16.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
너도 탐세봐 탐세로.
똑같은 하루에서 답답함을 빼면 더 청량해질 거야. 제로처럼. 우리 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살자. 칠성사이다 제로. 여름이 왔다. 마음껏 청량하자. 청량한 순간에 언제나 칠성사이다.
오늘의 게스트는 박상현 캐스터 나오셨습니다. 아프리카 뭐야? 처음 하는데 저 새끼 누구냐? 정보다 교화시켜야겠다. 재수야, 이렇게는 안 된다고. 형이 그렇게 가르쳤어? 우리가 너무 잘못된 후배들이야. 그냥 나쁜 후배야.
This is it, everybody. This is the last match in the round of 24. Bisu and Stork, two of the most godly, most legendary Protoss players. They're about to have it out here. One of them's going to move on into the round of 16 and be one of the 3 Protosses that actually survives in the round of 16, by the way. The other one's out.
Yeah, that's that's a tough one, and especially this matchup. I'm a little bit torn here, Tasteless, right? Because Stork has shown he can beat Bisu countless times, but if we're looking for a Protoss to go deep, it's not Stork. Stork's not going to make the round of 8. I'm going to go ahead and be very bold and say that I have a hard time seeing him beat the other players in best of 3s.
Yeah.
So if we want another Protoss to get deep, I think that's got to be Bisu here. And we're going to go to Polypoid. All right.
Oh, wow, Polypoid. Okay, let's do it, guys. Ladder map. Ladder builds, finally, in what might be the last PvP we have of this ASL, guys.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, we've got Bisu in the bottom right, Stork in the bottom left. And, I mean, this map is very different from the map we had with these two before. So, this is a map with a small ramp on your high ground, which allows for a wider range of builds. You can rush, you can be aggressive, but you also can block your ramp pretty quick with just one Zealot and tech up. So, there's a lot of ways to approach this. Generally, more aggro stuff can be shut down more easily with maps with small ramps. So, like, you could make like 2 gateways in the middle of the map and rush, but you would probably want to do that more on a map like Circuit Breakers or a map like Neo Sylphid where you don't have a ramp even, than you would on a map like Polypoid.
Yeah. You know, I think we'll probably see pretty normal stuff, and you know, I think maps like this make the early game a bit more interesting. You know, we see a lot of things like a forward robo, so you can just creep a Reaver down the ramp and take a quick expansion type things. You know, I feel like when we get to a map with a ramp like this, you'll basically never see 3-gate, right? Which makes DT a much more rare build, and not that it's not used or anything, but I don't know. I think the openers here are well, they have more nuance, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. I want to say you can DT rush. It's just when you DT rush. I mean, if you beat somebody with DTs on a map like this, like I remember in the past, I'd practice with people and they get upset if I DT rushed on this map or like a map like this, and I'm like, well, I'm not expecting to beat you. You're supposed to have observers. Like I'm trying to figure out how to tech past it. You know, I mean, if you kill someone with DTs in a situation like this, it's like, well, I guess you're not respecting the possibility of this coming. Yeah. But a lot of times, DT builds like this are ways to try to get an expansion up. You know, because they have to defend for that.
Yeah. I think
clicked on the Screaming Bird.
The Screaming Bird.
The Screaming Bird's getting attention here from the observer. We never see him click on that.
Yeah. It's funny though to hear you say like, oh, I've played practice games against people here in DT Rush and they got mad about it, because that is Tasteless in a nutshell. I remember you doing things like in practice games, cannon rushing in PvP and killing G5 and him not being very happy. And it's like, dude, we're trying to practice, and Tasteless like, I don't know, this is how I practice.
I want to see if this thing works. But you know, it is definitely a possibility that you could DT rush on a map like this. The sky's the limit. If you and generally, like anything where any map where you can seal yourself off right away allows for more builds. Mm-hmm. A lot of openings here. Now this is a little trick, by the way, since you can seal it off with one Zealot. Is if you do it right, you bait them out and then you just run right by them up into the main. But the fact that Stork got into Bisu's base, if Bisu did not get into Stork's base, is going to make Bisu pretty uncomfortable. But yeah, just to finish that thought, any map that you can just be safe from danger is sooner means that you can tech into more different things.
Yeah. A
lot of other maps you have to first figure out how to get either be safe or expand and be safe, and then go into your stuff. Mm-hmm. And with Protoss in general, they have crazy tech after the cybernetics core.
Well, there's really quite a variety, right? It's not Protoss tech is not as linear as the other races, where you just kind of have to go up a route and then things branch off. It's like, no, cybernetics core is done. What do you want?
Yeah, you can get a Stargate, you can get a Citadel, you can get a Robo, and it's build right up from there. Now, Stork is doing his pretty standard. This is actually so interesting. Bisu's just going to expand. Now, this is a little bit of high risk, high reward. You do see this when both players go for gas sometimes, is you'll just go for it. And I guess Bisu is basically saying, I know that Stork doesn't DT rush as often as other Protosses. And Stork, again, he kind of solved the matchup in a lot of ways back in the past by knowing that he can go 2-gate Robo, Observer if need be, into expand or into push. Like, I think you could find this build on Liquipedia, but it's like a very basic build, and so it seems like what Bisu's doing is he's just trying to counter that. So he just blindly takes a Nexus, banking on no DTs. By the way, no DTs are coming. And he'll have a base up, he'll have 3 gates so that he can actually overpower Stork. And so Stork has to, from here on out, if he doesn't realize what's happening, he either has to play from behind and expand himself, or he has to go for a Reaver push.
And that's, I think that Bisu has set this up perfectly, really, right? Because he hasn't wasted any money on anything like the Observer that's not going to be useful. Now, Stork just scouts exactly what's going on. So now it's up to him to be like, okay, are we going Nexus, or are we going for that Reaver push? Because Bisu here, producing off of 3 gates, and already having his Nexus up, it just feels like he's completely ahead, and it's really the onus is on Stork to figure out what to do.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen games where he will just make a Nexus and just play from behind, but it kind of feels like he has to go Shuttle Reaver, right? He did make the Observer. He did get that out. And now Bisu's going to have a Robo of his own. Who has more Dragoons? We've got 2, 4, 6, 7 for Stork. 2 4s. So they're even. Which is, I mean, that's a problem right now for Stork. It's a huge issue because he doesn't have a Nexus up. And there it is, dude. Wow. Now, I'll tell you what, and you even saw Stork shake his head as he made the Nexus. Because he's like, this sucks.
It is a bad situation for him right now. He is getting that Reaver down, so like he's not going to be busted. But Bisu has more probes. He's going to be producing more units, and he just made his own Robo as well. He's like, now he's on 4 gates, and he's going to have a Robo against a 2-gate Robo, and he has more probes. He's already made enough probes that he can just stop. Like, this is great for Bisu right now. He really played Stork here, it feels like.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that now he's just going to shut down probes. He's not going to go into a longer game. He's basically like, nope, we're where we need to be. He just wants to get observers. But, yeah, is this going to be another game where they just lock into Dragoon Reaver?
I think so. I think so. I don't think there's any other option here. Like, as Bisu, you're just making so many units so Stork can't do anything. Bisu hasn't gone for Reaver as of yet. He's going Observer. I imagine he'll go into Reaver. But does Stork need to push before that Reaver tech comes? Like, is this how you end up winning this, is utilizing these 2 Reavers well?
I don't know. This is kind of a tricky area for me as far as my understanding goes. I mean, if Bisu goes for his own Reavers, he could just basically match what Stork's doing. It seems like if there's no Reaver tech, all you want to do is just have a crazy amount of Dragoons and kind of have an overwhelming force. Now, Stork pushes out. Does he dare to make a Nexus over here? This is a location that's pretty easy to control in PvP. I've seen stuff like this, too, where they just do Crawling Reaver into Expand.
Like a 3rd base? On that high ground? Oh, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I've seen it before in the situation.
I don't think I've seen that, actually. That's kind of new to me. If he goes ahead and throws down a Nexus, I guess he does have this great defensive position. And, like, Bisu is just smashing out, like, Zealot Dragoon. So, I mean, if you have enough Reavers and you just sit on the high ground, he gets a shuttle and he is moving forward.
Okay, so he's going to go for a push. Now, this is interesting. Now, what Bisu has to do is he has to arc this perfectly. I feel like Bisu has way more. And keep in mind, the Zealots are kind of a headache because when it's pure Dragoon, you know, the Reavers, you know, they're always going to get good shots. But when the Zealots are here, it's like, okay, well, do you target the Zealots? And then, okay, so here we go.
Dude, he's down 25 supply. I don't know about this. Drops the 2 Reavers out, and let's see what that targeting looks like. The Zealots coming up. Zealots do have higher damage output than Dragoons, so a little bit tough there, but they do clump up the Reavers, get some good Zealot kills, and he kills the shuttle. The Reaver continuing to deal some damage here, but Stork is losing everything.
Yeah, I mean, this is Bisu just basically having the patience to know how to handle this. And he's just going to charge right up the ramp. He wants to kill this last Reaver and basically have Stork leave the game. Now, I don't know if... Okay, but that's it. Stork taps out. GG. I mean, look. One thing about Stork is that we really do kind of know how he plays. And if I can be critical of one of the greatest players of all time, he needs to be mixing it up more. He either needs to start doing newer stuff or he needs to do stuff that's older or just something new and... or something out there entirely. Like, we know that Bisu knew that Stork is going to go for that 2-gate conservative robo into Observer. The I'm not going to die into to DTs into, oh, I won't lose to Reavers because I have my Reavers too. I'll get a base up. And Bisu just kind of countered it without scouting, by the way. He said, all right, well, you're not going to go DT. Nexus first. This is a best of 1. Everything's on the line, and I still know how you play. And from there, you know, he's fine. Right? And it's kind of a build order win. But you can get build order wins on people when you start to get a reputation of playing a certain way. It's why it's so important that you are unpredictable, that you are trying to outthink your opponent. And, you know, Stork didn't have to attack here, but I think he kind of felt like, well, we're in trouble now. I almost wonder if it would have been better to just go for a Reaver push into the, you know, before expanding.
Yeah, well, it feels like this is the worst of all worlds. He's down 12 probes and like a ton of supply, and look at this, he just gets completely boxed in here. You know, Bisu did a great job with his macro, and you know, like you said, basically with Stork, if you're trying to play safe against everything, that's like actually one of the worst ways to play. Like if you're way better than your opponent, that can make sense.
Yeah.
But if you're safe against everything, you're really safe against nothing. Because it's like, okay, well, Bisu plays a little bit greedy. He's way ahead. How are you safe against that now?
Exactly. I mean, basically, Bisu is... Oh, hold on. We're going to go to that interview. We'll hear his thoughts, and then we're going to give our thoughts on that.
The round of 24 group F matches have come to a close, and we have the final player joining the round of 16 this season. It is going to be Bisu. We're going to have an interview with him. Congratulations. Thank you. Wow, Bisu, can you hear the cheer and can you hear the support from the fans? You have finally made it to round 16. It's your 4th consecutive advancement, actually. And you had to go through the final match. How do you feel right now?
Well,
honestly, I thought I would get eliminated today. Stork was playing way too well. And I knew today would not be an easy day for sure. But you know, I thought I made it to the next round. I'm really happy. And at the same time, I'm dumbfounded. Yes, for the fans, they had a really fun time today because they got to see a Bisu versus Stork twice in a day. And the first match was a bit of loss for you against Stork, but in the final match you redeemed yourself by gaining your win. In the second match you went for the natural really quickly. You produce a lot of gateways in a short span of time. So what was that decision about? Well, in the first match, Dragon Micro was a key to my build, but my Dragon Micro was quite poor in the first match. So in the second match against Stork, I tended to practice primarily on the Dragon Micro, and that's worked out well. And I think I won in terms of build as well. So the first match, positioning was very important for you, and the second match, we definitely got to see a better positioning for you. So in the match against ivOry, the PvZ match, we definitely knew how strong your PvZ was.
김태경 선수 입장에서는
So from your viewpoint, from your standpoint, you probably want to set your goal higher this season because we have a lot of Zerg players in round 16, right?
예전 프로게이머 때였으면
Well, back when I was a pro gamer, I would definitely say so. But nowadays, all the Zerg players are playing so well. So every single one of them is so hard to defeat. And Calm, who's recently made it to the round of 16 and as another Zerg player, he's playing really well too. So I'm gonna have to practice a lot. Well, we all know how scary you can be when you make sort of preparation Bisu on a LAN tournament. And do you have any special words you want to give to the fans? Well, there are not many Protoss players in the round 16, like I said before. So I gotta practice for the PvZ a lot. And now that I defeated Stork, who's another Protoss player, I'm the third Protoss player in the round of 16. And it's also fall, right? It's autumn, and that's the season for Protoss players to win. So I'm gonna practice hard, and I'm gonna try to win the season. And also, do you have any special shoutouts you want to give to your colleagues and practice partners? Well, to my practice partners, Tyson, Zealot, I practiced a lot of against a lot of Terran players, Queen, Royal, and Zac. I'm kind of sad that I couldn't play well against Terran today. And also I want to give a special shout out to my friends and my colleagues. And thank you to my friends who sent me cheerful messages. And also, I want to give my biggest gratitude to my fans who came here to the venue to see me play. And recently I've been thinking, it hasn't been easy so far. Back in my prime, games were quite easy for me, and right now, I really gotta take a step-by-step approach to every match. And even if I get eliminated in round 16, I hope the fans are not too disappointed. I'm still gonna give them my all. I'm gonna still practice a lot, and still gonna give my best. Once again, congratulations on making it to round 16, Bisu. Thank you. That's it for the round of 24. We got to see a final player joining the round of 16, and we'll be back for the round of 16.
Well, there it is, guys. Round of 24 is all done. Bisu survives. I am glad it's him that's moving on. I think he's got a better shot, and we are in a weird predicament where one race really underperformed here, and frankly, the Zergs could have even really run away with the show had Jaedong and Queen taken it. So. Rush and Bisu are going to move on. Keep your eyes on both of these guys. I think they're definitely going to the round of 8. I think they're both real threats to take the whole thing. And one thing that I'm still waiting for is Bisu to win an ASL. I mean, this guy has not done it yet, but the Protosses we've got here, Best, Mini, and Bisu, all three very different, very exciting Protosses to have.
Yeah, definitely 3 of the top 5, right? We did lose Snow and Rain earlier on, which I would add to this group, and that's like the best Protosses in the world for sure. So at least we still have some outstanding players. Looking at these other races, gotta say Ample is a big surprise going through. Killer, I think, is a pretty big surprise going through as well for Zerg. So, if they can make it any further than that, that's amazing on them. Everyone else, super strong.
Yeah, Calm, I'm a little bit surprised at how well he performed, but I'll be watching him. And, look, we're going to find out if Calm, Killer, and Ample can get into the round of 8. That's huge. I think they are still underdogs. They played crazy well. Effort's somebody else I'm watching here. I want to see how exactly he's going to perform, what kind of condition he's in. And again, we lost Jaedong and Queen, which was a surprise. Rain is gone. Light is not here. It's a very, very weird round of 16, just in that a lot of the staple, round of 8 or even round of 4 people are already eliminated. So, this is a real opportunity for some of these guys that are left over because Flash is not back for the season. I assume he's going to come back for the next season, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everybody kind of assumed he was going to be back for this season, and he's still on a hiatus. So, if you're one of the players that we have high hopes for here, that we have high expectations of, this could be your season to actually take the whole thing.
Yeah, it does feel like there's a ticking clock right now until Flash comes back and starts winning ASLs again. So best of luck to those underdogs of the future. Guys, this has been the round of 24. It's been fantastic. Thank you again to everyone who supported us on Patreon. You can check that out on patreon.com/ASL English. And don't forget, up next is going to be the group nomination. We hope that you guys enjoy that, but there is some space in between the actual start of the round of 16 and right now. So please do be patient with that.
Right, yeah. Give it a little bit of time. We haven't stopped. We're not slowing down on putting this out, but there is an actual big break in there. We're going to get the round of 16 group nominations translated for you right away and up, and then be ready, because the round of 16 is going to be coming real soon. We love you guys. Thanks for the support on Patreon. And until next time, till the round of 16, bye-bye.